Heathens and Christian women. What should God think of you? Of course, I'm not talking about the heathens here. I'm talking about Christian women. What does your God think of you? How many of you Christian women would agree that the Muslim faith is very harsh on women? It is very sexist and misogynistic and a horrible example of how you should treat women. See a lot of hands out there, huh? A lot of you. Okay? How does your God think of women? Let's go to the Holy Bible, which I have marked here. Deuteronomy, chapter 21, starting with verse 10. Pause if you want to go grab your Bible to make sure I'm not lying to you. When thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, and the Lord thy God hath delivered them into thine hands, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman, and hast a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to be thy wife, then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails, and she shall put on the raiment of her captivity from off her captivity, and shall remain in thine house, and bewail her father and her mother and a full month. And after that thou shalt go into her. Thou shalt go in unto her, and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. And it shall be, if thou have no delight in her, then thou shalt let her go whither she will, but thou shalt not sell her at all for money. Thou shalt not make merchandise of her, because thou hast humbled her. Makes me want to barf. Alright. So, we conquered Iraq. And apparently God gave us that country because, Islam is so evil. And so now we have control of this land. And if I go over there and I find me a pretty Iraqi girl, I can capture her, keep her in captivity for a month after I shave her head. And after I decide to be her husband, meaning if I don't like her, I don't enjoy I can just let her go. I just can't sell her. Ooh. I'm sorry, what? Oh, that's Old Testament. You're right. That is Old Testament. Deuteronomy is Old Testament. You're good point. Good point. Oh, what do I have here? 1 Corinthians chapter 14. I'm going to be taking several verses. This is all gathered together. Of course, it's all coming out of the Bible. This is all gathered together. I'm going to post a link up here of why God hates amputees.com. I think is what it is. Anyway, I'll put the link over there, and you can go check it out yourself. They have an excellent section on what the Bible thinks of women. So, 1 Corinthians chapter 14. As in all congregations of the saints, women should remain silent in the churches. Silent. They are not allowed to speak, but must be in submission, as the law says. If they want to inquire about something, they should ask their own husbands at home. For it is disgraceful for a woman to speak in the church. 1 Corinthians, that's Old Testament, right? No, wait. No. That's New Testament. Must be something taken out of context, right? 1 Corinthians 11. But I want you to understand that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of a woman is her husband, and the head of Christ is God. And a man who prays or prophesies with his head uncovered dishonors his head. But any woman who prays or prophesies with her head unveiled dishonors her head. It is the same as if her head were shaven. What's up with the shaven heads? If a woman will not veil herself, then she should cut off her hair. But if it is disgraceful for a woman to be shorn or shaven, let her wear a veil. For a man ought not to cover his head, since he is the image and the glory of God, but woman is the glory of man. What the hell? Do any of you women buy this? I mean, seriously. Let's keep going. 1 Timothy chapter 2. Also, that women should adorn themselves modestly and sensibly in seemly apparel, not with braided hair, or gold or pearls or costly attire, but by good deeds, as befits women who profess religion. Let a woman learn in silence with all submissiveness. I permit, God talking, I permit no woman to teach or have authority over men. She is to keep silent. Are you a Sunday school teacher? Are there boys in your class? Are you a politician? Are there men in your state, country, county, whatever? Women, are you buying this? So, 1 Peter 3:7. Husbands, in the same way, be considerate as you live with your wives. Treat them as respect, as the weaker partner. Yeah, real nice. So you still think it's just the Old Testament? I'm afraid not. Apparently the New Testament has quite a bit of this stuff too. Let's hit some of this other Old Testament though, because I think this is important. Since obviously the Old Testament agrees with the New Testament. What about Deuteronomy 22:28 and 29? If a man meets a virgin who is not engaged and seizes her and lies with her, meaning if he rapes her, and they are caught in the act, the man who lay with her shall give 50 shekels of silver, that's 1¼ pounds of silver, to the young woman's father, and she shall become his wife, because he violated her. That's important. Come back to that. He shall not be permitted to divorce her as long as he lives. So, if you rape her, you violate her, and this is important because a lot of people are trying to say that it's mistranslated. They just mean that if he takes her, like if you take your wife in passion. No, if he violates her, if he comes in and he rapes this woman and they're caught, all he has to do is pay 50 shekels of silver, 1¼ pound of silver, and he can have this woman to be his wife. Ephesians 5:22 through 24. I'll fast forward you through. Wives should submit to their husbands in everything. Numbers 31:14 through 18, saving you the time. But save yourselves, every girl who has never slept with a man. This is where he goes in and he tells them to kill everybody except for the little young virgin girls. God hates women.